Yeah. Yeah.
Look at me.
Benchmark, they're speaking the facts that you wanna hear. That rapper jersey, the vision is clear. Diamonds glisten like a chandelier. You know what I'm here for, like Marshawn Lynch. At clutch time, we do not flinch. Real brothers, we do not switch. Hit home runs with the right pitch. Who run the city? What to do when they hating on you? I feel like Kobe 2010. I taking an L, all I need is a win. Business is business, you know how they go. You playing the seats, now it's time to grow. Tuning now, gotta be in the know. Showtime, bitch, my about to blow.
I ain't seen from now. Bowser really.
Benchmark Podcast. What's up, bro?
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast. Man, we got the full squad here tonight. Unlike Lakers, we are all healthy, all in the spot here. Greg, Mr. Hot Takes, Debate Your Mother Sins Me. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, bro. I'm back. I'm back. What Bryson Tiller say? He's back and he's better.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what he said.
I don't like that next album though. But CJ Moneybags, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. We all good. Ready to do another episode with y'all.
Miles Davenport.
I'm feeling good. Can't complain, right?
This guy.
Gosh, man. So this is our bonus content, this bonus episode type thing. You know, we have y'all vote on the polls and what y'all want us to talk about that's non-sports related. And tonight, y'all voted on us to talk about relationships, significant other that has a different political view, different religious view. This is what y'all voted on. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to start off with Greg. So, Greg, are you going to date a Trump supporter that's an atheist?
I don't even know how that's a question that you can ask me right now because of my current situation. Y'all know my current situation. It's very public.
Of course.
But this is a tough one because it just in general, because I think there was a time where people who didn't align on political views and religious views could date without it being an issue. I think everything's so polarized now that it's much harder for people to do that. You know, I mean, let's face it, 2016 changed a lot. I really think that's what happened. 2016 changed a lot, and it was always pretty polarizing politically in the country. But 2016, when Trump stepped in the office, it was like, you know, if someone told you they voted for him, it was a death knell, right? It was like a big deal, and quite frankly, it still is, even now. So this conversation is so interesting because I think everyone has deal breakers in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things people can't not see eye to eye on and be together. Like, for example, abortion. You know, like that's a big one, right? Like that's something that people don't see eye to eye on. I know that it can be a struggle for some people, and that usually ties in with religion. So it's all really intertwined. But my answer to this question, in short, we'll dive into this more and more, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's extremely difficult for a relationship to thrive if you have two people on the opposite side of the political spectrum trying to date right now in this political climate, social climate.
I think is when you talk about the politics aspect, for example, everybody, of course, you know, you go to the Trump aspect. For me, if you voted for Trump, I need to know why. Because when it comes to the politics, it's such a messy thing in regards of you might rock with, for example, you might rock with Obama. I think all of on the show, we rock with Obama, but there's certain things that politicians do that you may not rock with. It's not one politician that you be like, yo, everything they stand for, I rock with. Obama, he actually had the law passed for marriages to have gay marriages. My religious beliefs, I don't rock with that. Just keeping it a stack. I don't rock with that. But then I still rock with Obama. You feel me? So it's in that aspect, if you voted for Trump, I'm going to keep it a stack. This might be hot take. It might be, you know, tone tripping. But if you, for example, if you're a business owner, I get why you voted for Trump. I get it. Can't knock it. You could vote for Trump and still be like, that racist stuff he was doing, talking about building a wall, stuff like that, I don't rock with that. But this other side, he had procedures and stuff, laws in place that I rock with. So when it comes to me on that aspect, politics, for me, I never really gave a darn about politics because to me, they all crooked. They all ain't really done nothing for me. So when it boils down to it, if you vote for somebody that's polarizing like a Trump, Why? Give me an explanation why. And we can go from there. Now, yeah, actions line up with his beliefs, then that's the issue.
Yeah.
Me, it's always been the biggest thing for me is the religion aspect. If you don't love God, you don't pray, you're not fasting, you don't have a relationship with God, you can't kick it straight like that. And a serious thing, high school, college years, Willie P, that's different. I wasn't serious yet. I'd mess with, I don't care who he was. I think it depends where you at in your life.
That's important to know. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it really plays a part in where am I at right now in my life and what is my future moving forward, right? Politically, like we talked about with Trump, obviously minorities felt a certain amount of way because like he showed his racist side and that affects us on a personal level. You know, Caucasians, that doesn't affect on a personal level. So as, you know, going off what you were saying, they're making a business decision on what's going to be best for me and my business and how is this going to affect my economy, you know, because let's be real, they're not thinking of us when that situation happens. So, but when you choose people to lead office and you're choosing, you know, someone like Trump, if your beliefs line up with theirs, like you said, that's a problem. But for people like in relationships and things of that nature, for me personally, I was in the same place as you. I didn't care, you know, what your beliefs were. I didn't, because again, I wasn't at that point in my life where I'm thinking about what do I want my future to be like? What do I want my wife to be like? But again, once you find somebody and you start getting serious with them, that's when you got to start really thinking about and having those conversations. You got to have those conversations with them. It's a must.
That's how I view it, bro. Because when it can't get something serious, that's when I put the line. Like, all right, you this religion, you believe in this, you don't believe in God. That's cool. That's great. We can't be nothing.
Yeah, but different people view different things in absolutes. You know, you view religions in an absolute way. You know, it's either you're with me or you're against me. Some people view politics and social issues in a very absolute way. I'd say that that's kind of where I align with it. Like, I'm very absolutist in that way. Like, especially from a political standpoint. I don't really view this a political thing. That's the thing. I always tell people this. Like, I don't think it's politics. We talking about, you know, Trump. Like, it's an issue of morality for me. Like, you know what I mean? Because even if you did vote for Trump, because it was, you know, best for you in terms of business practices and what it would allow you to do and financially how it would benefit your pockets, you saw what Trump was saying during the election. Like, you saw him talking about you gonna grab him and buy the you know what. You saw him saying everything. You know, saw him talking about, you know, hey, black people, it's not gonna get any worse for you guys. So why not vote for me? Like, you know, which is hilarious, by the way. He was like, there were some real funny moments. I find those kind of things funny. That was funny. But
what do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose? Like, it's not gonna get any worse. Like, no, but like, but at the end of the day, if we're being honest about it, like, that's the way I kind of see things. Like, I see it as more of a morality thing. So I think that it's pretty hard for me to separate the two things. Like, and there are people like me out there. I mean, we know that.
Of course.
There's a lot of
I
people
just look
like
at it this way. We had a discussion. We talked about R. Kelly. We talked about Chris Brown. We talked about these people. When it comes to politics, why can't we have that same mindset of separating? Because, again, if we go down the list of all the presidents, I'm sure you could find something in there was like, yo, I agree with that policy. I agree with this. I agree with that.
Oh, so you're saying why can't they do that?
I'm saying everybody
the person from
the
policies?
Because that person's not leading our country. I think that's the difference. They're not making decisions that affect us. Chris Brown ain't making a decision that affects me.
With Trump, though, I'm saying in this regard, I get it. I'm not obviously in agreement of anything that he was doing. But what I'm saying is I can understand and respect depending on what the person's reason was for doing it and them saying that they still don't agree with the morality aspect of.
But you're saying that now because it's just so clearly far foul? I mean, we talking about – it's easy for someone to tell me that now. After January 6th and all this that happened? I'm talking
about then. I'm talking about even back then. If you had that discussion and we had that honest conversation, at least I know where you stand and I can respect it. And in this America, right? In this world, if we be 100% honest, a lot of times we individually, people that we know, don't know, make decisions that's best for us and our family. That's just what it is. That's the type of people we are, humanity. So I can get it. Like, yo, he had stuff that was in place for the rich, the business owners. And the thing that we got to keep in mind too, every business owner ain't white. So I know black people that voted for Trump is off of that reason. So, hey, black people, we know, yo, that sugar not rocking us, but hey, I'm able to get some money off my taxes. I'm taking care of my family better. I know what type of time he is. And I feel too, when it comes to politics, and you, like you said, you absolutely, but for me, hey, it hasn't been a politician really that really, we're taking care of the black people.
I get what you're saying.
So to me, it's like,
I get what you're saying.
it is what
But
it is.
It's
like,
not that's taken out of context for me because no president has really done right by black people ever.
that's what I'm saying. That's how
Ever.
I feel.
Okay, but like it's not even about that for me. When I say I view politics in an absolute, is I really view morality in an absolute, because there's nobody I rock with, no politician I've ever rocked with 100%. It's just not. It's never.
Yeah.
It'll probably never happen in my life, and because that, like you said, there's a lot of BS in that space. So that's just the way it works. But what I'm talking about from a morality standpoint, I think there's a very thin line between politics and morality. And that's the reason why this conversation we're having right now is even a thing we're talking about, because it's a very thin line. You're walking a very thin, tightrope line, because these things are all very hot button issues, right? If you're voting on the Republican side, do you not think that they should be teaching about critical race theory in classrooms? How are you a black person who doesn't think they should be? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. There's things that hit you different ways, and there's a lot of different ways it can affect you politically. So, and all these policies we talk about, they're all very intertwined. Like, this is, you truly are picking sides with this thing. And I'm not saying that a relationship, to get back to the main point, can't thrive if two people don't see eye to eye politically. But I am saying that from a morale standpoint, you are supporting two different things. I think, like, from a morality standpoint, right? Like, you got to look at it that way. I don't look at it from a politics standpoint, because I'm not no political genius. I'm not into reading all the laws and all the Biden guidelines. No, but I pay attention to it because I just want to know that the right thing is being done by the people who have power to change people's lives. And I don't think that Trump aligns with that.
So somebody can't, in your opinion, right? So somebody can't be like, yo, I agree with you 100%. Stuff that he was doing morally was wrong, but I still voted for him.
You voted for. I mean, yeah, you voted for him. That's pretty selfish if you think about it, though. Isn't it selfish by nature? It's literally the definition. Like, you did what was best for you in that moment, but you didn't think about what was going to happen to all the Mexicans or the women that he was insulting, or the everybody else that was under his thumb, right? Or the fact that he had the whole relations with Russia, right, and was in cahoots with them, and now you see how Russia out here moving around. Like, that stuff didn't matter. It was just your pockets at the time. You know what I mean? And also, let's keep it a buck. He ain't really take care of nobody like that. All right, ain't nobody like here thriving. Like black people are not thriving. You had a business, you may have seen some tax cuts, cool, whatever. You wasn't really thriving. That out for example. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying
obviously nobody on this panel right here on the show obviously can make sense of why.
Yeah, right.
I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility, because that's what often I heard. And
Facts.
With that being the case,
you're playing devil advocate. No, yeah.
Yeah, I could respect it in that regard. I'm saying in this, when it comes to the positive aspect, I feel just like in any field in life, you said the elite in our country, but I feel you should be able to be like, hey, specifically politics, I don't agree with these policies, but I agree with these policies. And it doesn't affect the relationship. It's certain things, though, where, like you said, we have to some type of, this is a no-go. Like, so do you think he should be building a wall, for example?
It's a very thin line.
That's what I'm saying. But it's certain issues, though. It's certain issues. It's certain issues. Because for everybody, it's different.
Yeah.
You might be like, I don't care, build that wall. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about critical race theory being taught in schools, hey.
It
needs to be taught.
Different things hit different. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
different
I think when you in that relationship, you had to have those conversations. What do you think about this? That's why I'm going to, in that regard, I have no problem with it on face value. Let's have a conversation on why you voted for him now. Let's break it down. Let's go by this policy. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Do you think black people won't? And if we could come to an agreement on certain things where it's like, yo, I agree, Trump shouldn't have did this, that, and the third. All right, cool. I don't get why you voted for him, but still, if you're talking about the relationship aspect, you got to be able to respect it, because two people coming together oftentimes are not the same people.
No, exactly.
And oftentimes they come from different backgrounds and grew up maybe with different beliefs.
Exactly. But I'm saying, and the reason why we're talking about it, about Trump and all that in this conversation, because I'm saying before 2016, this was not as explosive as a conversation.
It definitely
this
wasn't.
Totally flipped on its head.
Because we didn't have a
2016.
president that came out and made outrageous racism remarks.
Yeah, but that shows the state of the country, the fact that he even won.
That's
a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Whole other discussion.
I mean, I think when we originally talked about having this conversation, I sent you an article about how Aaron Rodgers was dating that girl, Shailene. I don't know. I might know what her last name. Woodley?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know her last name. But the fact that
they were dating.
But Shailene, that they were dating, and a big rift in their relationship was the fact that she was on the opposite side of the spectrum politically. She was a Democrat, and he was, he's as we all know, he's big Republican. Now as we all know that he's, so that was a big issue in the relationship, and obviously now they're not together anymore. So that's kind of what sparked the idea in my head when I hit Tone about this. It's like, is this an interesting conversation? I'm sure people are gonna have a lot of different takes, but is this a thing that people can do successfully nowadays, be on different sides of the political spectrum? And I think the answer to that question, I lean more towards no. Mm-hmm. I lean towards no, not yes. I lean towards no because now the line between politics and morality is so thin, paper thin, that it's hard. It's hard to separate the two things. People, the people are it's a very hot button, a lot of hot button issues we talk about now within politics that also just tie into social issues too, and people are very passionate about it.
I think it depends on where you view politics.
But I'm saying politics now, like I'm saying politics now.
Yeah, I agree with you saying.
Yeah, like it's not even just about politics.
I'm saying I still don't think. I think it depends on where you rank that in your importance of who you want to be with. Some people really don't care.
Yeah, right. Some people don't care.
What I'm saying? Like some people really do not care. We know of people that don't even vote. You feel me? So it all depends on where the importance is in your relationship. Because when you come into it, there's going to be different things where you have to have, hey, this joker snores loud as heck. I love him though. This person, they believe in abortion. I don't. There's going to be issues.
Do you know people? Do you know any two people that disagree on that and are together? Because I don't.
Yeah. I know of people that
don't see eye to eye on that and still are together.
That's dope. Yeah,
that's dope.
I think when it comes to those certain situations, though, when it comes to that, though, at some point, it's not going to work. You see what I'm saying? Like certain things, what you have where you can negotiate. You give a little take here, give this. This is how this person was raised. This, that, and third.
I find it
that at the end, though, Bible says, "How can two walk together lest they agree?" At some point, it's going to come to a head, and it's not going to work. Aaron Rodgers situation. You knew what she was into before you got in there. You might have went into it thinking you could change her, or vice versa. She went into it thinking she could change A-Rod, which is what we do.
Or maybe she thought that they could just make things work and move about. He's a Republican, she's a Democrat, and
I don't think she could foresaw.
But in 2022, that means something totally different than it did in 2014.
Yeah, and especially if he was a Donald Trump supporter, like
I think
as divisive as he was in this country, it's hard to be with somebody who believes in what he's talking about.
But little by little, I think also too, you look at that, obviously we're not in a relationship, but A-Rod didn't always start off like that. He, as of the last couple of years, has been getting extremely way more vocal, way more outspoken on how he feels, doing the Pat McAfee show with the Ayn Rand book. Like he wasn't always doing that stuff. You feel me? So I think that's the other thing you got to remember with relationships. The person you get with
ain't gonna be yep.
But I feel like the later in your career, the more open you get. Like you see LeBron talks way more. You see Tom Brady, he's more open. So I think it's one of those things. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't think that A-Rod's relationship was ever going to work.
I completely agree. How can two walk together unless they agree? If, for example, if I'm Christian, you're Muslim, at some point we're going to have discussions where it's like, yo, we can't make this work. Mm-hmm. That's just what it is. I agree with you. No, in this era, in this time period, it can't happen. I think people do try to do it and force it. And some people somehow make it work. It's very few though.
I'm saying, like,
and I know of people that, hey, we're on two different sides of the spectrum. But the thing I think really what it boils down to is what's your definition of relationship? What's your output? What's your views on marriage? Are y'all a partnership or are y'all just doing this like we're doing this to just have kids? We're doing this to save money. We're doing this because I can't be with nobody else. I can't be by myself. It's such a layered conversation in that regard because I think it goes down to the principle of how do you view marriage? What are your ideals? What do you want in marriage? What do you want in a forget marriage? It's a bunch of people that's never going to get married. What do you view in a relationship? What is really important to you? What is a relationship? Who should this person be to you? Should they have the same views? Some people really believe opposites attract, and they try to go by that. I'm Republican. Let me find a Democrat because they say opposites attract. I know of people some people really had that mindset instead of how I view it. You let it happen naturally, and we have this in common. We don't have this in common. Not going into it thinking opposites attract.
I mean, because I think that, if we're talking politics, Republican and Democrats, they always kind of butt heads. So it's one of those things that, like, if you're dating somebody who, I'm a Democrat, if I'm dating a Republican, we're going to disagree on things. And some of those things are going to be tough to, budge on, especially with, when it comes to Trump and anything else that's going on in this country. Like the Black Lives Matter that whole thing was.
There was people who was on the other side of that.
Yeah. I still have people who say like, oh, I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Bruh.
And I'm like, okay.
Bro,
like
it's over.
I can't really talk to you, bro. I'm saying.
Like, I just think it's a totally different conversation now versus maybe 10 years ago, which is why we're having it again. But I think that some people, like Tone says, it's to each his own. It's true. To each his. That is the simple answer to this question is to each his own. If you can overcome it and you're like, cool, like I don't really care about this, I don't really care about that, or I love you for you, whatever you come to, everyone's different. But at the end of the day, I think that more often than not, y'all don't view things the same way morally. Forget politics. Because really what y'all worried about is the moral aspect. You're not really worried about policy. Policy is not what's breaking y'all up. It's morals. It's the fact that you think that this person isn't on the same moral ground as you are. You think that you're a better person than this person because you see this way and he sees this the other way or she sees this the other way. That's really what breaks people up. It's not about the politician or the policy or rule A in book Z. Like, it ain't none of that. It's simply the moral piece of it. So if you that's the thing I think that is extreme. It's hard to bargain with that. It's very hard to bargain with morals. If you can, I haven't seen many people do it successfully yet. And I'll tell you right now, I'll keep it a million. Thank God I didn't have to do that in my relationship. My me and her in lockstep more on a moral standpoint. Also from a religion standpoint, I feel like I've gotten away from that, but that's important too, obviously. I think, but I also think that I've seen more people on the opposite side of the fence, from a religion standpoint, make it work than I have in terms of from a politics standpoint. I think that's more common. I see the opposite religions coming together, and I know it's still a low number, but I've seen that happen more.
I wouldn't say per se it's a low number because I've seen it.
You've seen it,
I've
yeah.
Seen it. The thing is, though, just like the politics conversation, where does religion matter to you? Right. How serious are you in it? Yeah. Because honestly, certain religions they can't mix. Point blank. Period. If you really are serious in whatever religion you choose, they don't mix. It's in a lot of religions, it's shamed upon, it's shunned to be talking about you dating somebody, you trying to marry somebody of a different religion. Mm-hmm. So, again, what it boils down to on both sides, I think, like you said, to each his own. And it all depends on how serious you are in whatever said thing is. Some people don't even have morals.
Facts. Moralist people out there.
Like, we're all on the show talking about that because we have morals. Like, nah, this is wrong. This is right. I care about this. I care how people treat people. I care how people respond. I care about those things because morals have some type of value to me. We were raised differently. Some people really don't have any morals. To each his own. Their viewpoint is it's a dog eat dog world. Whatever happens, happens. Some people like to just have the name. Oh, I'm Christian. Oh, I'm Muslim. And don't follow a darn thing that you're supposed to be following.
Right.
So it might not matter. You could date somebody of a different religion because you don't take your religion serious.
Right.
You don't take morals serious. You don't take abortion. You don't take all these different things serious. So that's where relationships work. You get into a relationship with two people that just don't give a fudge.
I mean, I also think that at some point, even if you don't agree with, or not don't agree with, even if you could get past some of the differences in opinions, I feel like if you're dating somebody and you're moving towards marriage and whatnot, your families are going to have to meet at some point, and they're also going to have differences of opinion. So how are you going to, make that work as well?
Yeah.
I completely agree, but
Yeah.
we're
Some
talking.
people avoid that at all costs too, though.
So
Some
you just
people
don't
do
bring
that.
your family around?
Yeah,
Just
so,
they don't
some
mix?
people weird like that. Where like, hey, we're getting married because we like each other, but we're gonna leave our families out of it, and we're gonna, have this own little family immediate with us. And but to your point, that's where it gets tricky too, raising kids, right? The kids grow up wondering, am I gonna be this or that? And at some point, you guys are gonna have to decide and choose: do we want to raise them, Christian? Do we want to raise them Muslim? And then that's where it's gonna get dicey.
And then if you go one way, the other parents are going to be like,
What you want,
Well,
right?
why? Why can't we raise them
your
this?
kid up like this? I
Yeah.
didn't raise you this way.
But
What you want right now?
I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing that we're talking from. We're talking from a different standpoint. Because what you just said is facts, but there's people that, like you said, I'll just keep the family separate. We're talking from a completely. All four of us talking from a different standpoint of. We know 1 + 1 = 2. Some people 1 + 1 = 4.
I'm saying there's a lot of different relationships, types of relationships out there. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. So this conversation isn't one where it's like there's a definitive answer.
Yeah, it's not cut and dry.
But we all can agree that it's incredibly difficult if you don't align on these two things. If you don't align in these two ways, as Aaron Rodgers knows now, because he's probably somewhere using a box of Kleenex, still thinking about Shailene. That it's tough.
I know she's in the upstairs bedroom watching CNN. He's downstairs watching
Fox
News.
He's watching Fox.
That was wild.
He's downstairs. Yeah, bro. That's crazy. It's tough, bro.
Before we wrap on this too, like we missed something that we didn't touch on. We talked about like people having different religions, right, and trying to make it work that way. How do we feel about like? Is it the same if I'm with somebody, right, and they don't believe in God, but I am raised Christian and things like that? How do you make something like that work where they're not willing to budge to try to believe in God? Do you think something like that can work? Because I feel like that's more common. I feel like that's more common than people having different religions come together. I feel like.
Go ahead.
Is there a difference though if they're like between being atheist and you just you don't have any religious affinity?
I think again.
Yeah, Tone says something along these lines.
Again, I take my religion, I take my Jesus serious. Those that do, the scripture. How can two walk unless they agree? We talk about in the Bible plenty of times where God said, don't intermingle with these other religions. Don't intermingle when you go into these foreign lands. Don't take on their gods. If you're really serious about your Christianity, it's not going to work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. No way possible. It would not work unless, and this is the caveat, only way is if God tells you to do so. Nobody talks about this, but in the Bible, there was somebody, forget his name, one of the prophets, God told him to literally marry a prostitute.
Hosea?
Might have been Hosea. To marry a prostitute, to show Israel that they were this prostitute, going to every other god, but not coming to the home to where they were supposed to be with God. So if God tells you to do that, and in that he saves the person who is an atheist because of your light, cool. But at some point, even if God don't, at some point, something's got to give. You could keep praying for them. Either God gonna save them or they not. And at some point, it's not gonna work. You might stay because you don't believe in divorce, but it's not working. You're not happy. It's not successful, and it's not how God had planned it. So when it boils down to it, how serious you are on certain topics. What's your non-negotiables?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't often have that conversation with themselves before they even start talking to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You get in 2-3 months in, and now it's like,
or you have the kid, and then you're like figuring out, oh wait, like it's not something that people think about. People are not very self-reflective. People are not very intuitive in that way. They don't do a lot of self. They don't do a lot of self evaluation.
Mhm.
You know, like
Because people out here chasing lust.
That's what I'm saying.
Getting people pregnant before they.
It's like, hey, yo, that's real talk, and that's real rap. I'm saying so because for me, I did a lot of self-reflection my entire life. I'm always in my head, so I kind of knew by the time I started dating Ariana, I knew how serious I was about certain things and what I wasn't. You know, like I knew where we was at, and I knew what I had to agree with her on, and what and hey, look, it's like God crafted a person for me. It just depends. It just depends on how absolute you are about certain things. That's the answer to this question. To anyone that's listening, that's the answer to this question. Like, there's a million examples of what we're talking about all over the place.
What's your non-negotiables? What's your non-negotiables? And how much are you going to actually not negotiate on it? Are you going to stand firm in it, or are you going to budge on it? And we see all the time people that have the strongest moral values, the strongest political views, the strongest religious views. Somebody comes along, you think you in love, or you may truly do love them, and you start to budge. You start to negotiate on things that you did not think you would negotiate on.
Eventually, it catches up to you.
So you reach a point where you're not happy, and then
you, of course,
you pay for it later.
Yeah,
of course.
Not initially, because it's all good.
It's all you in love, and you having fun, and then
the sex is good.
They start talking about how F all these.
Hey, wait, what's going on?
You know what I'm saying, though? They start
I'm
talking crazy.
I get what he was alluding to.
I think I missed what you were saying.
They start getting racist.
I just heard FLDs. I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Nah, they start getting racist, and then you see what they're really about, and then you
stuck at zero. Oh, there's signs. You just ignore them.
More of the story.
Because you're in love.
Because you're in love. Yeah.
Exactly.
More of the story.
There's signs.
Get to know yourself. Get to know other person before you get serious.
I heard that. Like, yo, what's going on?
Before you get serious, get to know yourself. Get to know other person.
Facts.
Before you get serious, before you get in a relationship, before you get married,
you gotta know yourself, bro.
Know yourself, know them, know what you're not negotiating on, and then you could go from there, bro. It's just that simple. And once you're there, make sure this is a part of when you're trying to get into a marriage relationship. You have to be comfortable with oneself before trying to give yourself to somebody else. You can't give yourself to somebody else if you don't know who you are. So when doing that, you're constantly doing the work to be the best you, to know who you are, to know what you want, know what you don't want, know what you stand for, know what you don't stand for. And within that process, all you're doing is staying ready. And that's what we do. Stay ready so we don't got to get ready. Bench Mob, ENT, we out. Peace.
Oh, well done.